Hello, welcome to a super interesting sections of this course, and we're going to be talking about liquid basics. So liquid is probably one of the most the most pleasant languages you're gonna encounter in your programming career, or just using any programming language. It is super easy to use. I believe Liquid was actually designed for designers. So it was designed for people with not a lot of programming experience or none at all. And it was kind of created at the beginning. Again, this is, I have to double check my facts here, but it was created so that designers would be able to make changes to the store very easily. But obviously, it's not that easy that you can just kind of pick it up and be able to use it within a day. But definitely, it's easier than any other kind of language because it's a templating language, so it's not kind of a full language like JavaScript or Python or Java. But it has a lot of the same concepts. So even if you don't know any programming languages or you don't have any experience in any other programming language, once you kind of pick up the information in this video, you're going to be able to transfer it over to a lot of other languages, because most languages actually have the same operators, the same kind of rules that they work with. And one of the most important things in Liquid is going to be the operators. So for the operators, we have things like if statements, contains, and I believe there's more basic operators. Also, the operators are, you have an equal sign, does not equal, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and things like that. And you would be using that in if statements. But also what Shopify has done really cool with Liquid is they made these kind of like little custom ones that basically have things like contains. So in this example over here, they're showing if customer.email contains shopify.com, then we will say, hey, they're a Shopify employee, right? Also, if product.tags contains outdoor, this product is great for using in the outdoors. And you would use these with things like, exactly like it says here, tags in your product. So you would be able to filter through products by tags, and that's super useful for yourself and for your clients. And then you have order of operations, things like or and you have this in every language. In JavaScript, you use the ampersand for the and operation, but here it's very easy to read, and it's just in the English language. Let's take a look. So handles is something that is kind of the end of the link. So if you're, for example, here on the about page and you want to display the title, you can use that to display the title. Honestly, the language is super self-explanatory, but I do want to go over all of this because it's good to know what exists when you start programming. And one of the other really important Liquid operations you're going to do is a for loop. And the for loop made in Liquid is also super easy. So let's find that over here. Operators, types. Sometimes it's just easier to just go like this. So iteration tags. It was in the tags, not in the basics. So for the for loops, you would basically be saying like in here. So for product, and this keyword can be anything you want. So you're basically saying for item in collection.products or collection.items, you're gonna basically print out each product in that collection. Super easy. You got to have an opening tag and a closing tag. Then you have the else. So for product and collection.product, print this. And if it doesn't have it, then you print the collection is empty. Very easy to read. And then you have the break, which is if you're basically using an if statement, and then you would get out of that, get out of this whole for loop if I equals 4. Same thing here as in continue. So if I equals 4, then you would continue on to the next one and skip that current one. For tag parameters, so you're basically saying that you just want to print out the first two. You want it to go 2 times. So this would be like in a for loop for JavaScript, you would have like I is less than or equals to 2, right? And I mean, there's so many other ones that you're not going to use that often, but super useful to go through. Let's see what else we have here. It's also super important. So assigning is you're basically assigning a value to a variable. So you're saying here that we're assigning favorite fruit to equal apples, and then you can use that variable all throughout your section or your snippet or wherever you put it. Capture is pretty interesting, but it's a little bit more advanced. This is where you kind of capture that whole operation done here, and then you can use the variable that you use to capture this operation. And control flow we already talked about. This is the if. Oh, another super important one is unless. So unless is kind of like the opposite of if. So you're saying unless product.title equals awesome shoes, then print this out, right? So you're kind of avoiding this one, which is kind of an interesting concept to wrap your head around first, but it's pretty cool. It kind of helps you to not say like if product.title does not equals awesome shoes, right? So you just it's not the most useful operation, but it is kind of convenient to use. And then like every other language, you have an else and an else if statement. The important thing to note here is that else if does not have an e, so don't make that mistake. And then you have a case when this is very similar to JavaScript's switch operation. And then you can have multiple and ors. So one of the really good resources for Shopify liquid template language is the cheat sheet. So Shopify cheat sheet. And you can kind of search anything you want here. So you have basics, tags, filters, objects that we just kind of looked over. We're not finished, but because there's a few more interesting things that I want to cover, and that's things like objects. So why Shopify is also very easy to use is because of things like objects. So the reason they're easy to use is they're kind of you can't modify objects, you can only use them. So the data flows kind of one way, but Shopify created these objects for you to use, and it's very convenient. So for example, in a for loop, if you want to only print out the first value, you can use for loop.first, and you have things like so in Shopify their index actually starts from 1, but if you want their index to start from 0, you can use the for loop.index 0. The other really important one is the image, and for image you can use things like source, ID, alt, and then let's see what other one is. You have the variants. And again, it's kind of difficult to understand some of them right now because you haven't used Shopify that much, or maybe you have, and you are familiar with these, then that's great. But it's hard to kind of see what each. There's so many that Shopify included that you're not gonna kind of use all of them in the first even like few weeks of working with Shopify. So let's get out of objects and go into filters. Filters are also super cool. So filters can do things like change the way a title appears, change the fonts, or if a number that you're receiving from your customizer is supposed to be a money sign, then you can use the money filter. Let's see what else. So you saw earlier in an earlier video we used the style sheets tag to import our custom CSS file. And let's see. So yeah, you have so many. Probably I use the most kind of the first, last, the sort, minus, obviously, if you want to. So Shopify doesn't really have operators such as like minus. You can't really minus something. So if you want to divide a number by a number, you got to use these filters. So this kind of is a little strange to get used to at first, because you can't just use the star to multiply something or subtract something or add something easily. You got to actually use the filters. And if you do want to kind of, if you're working within Shopify and you need to reference back to something, you can always use the cheat sheet, like I said. And let's say if you want to see the product option, you can always see that as well. Where is the product option? Or the product object, sorry. So the product object is like one of the most popular ones that you're going to be using. This is to check if the product is available. And you have things like product price, product image, product options. Anyways, you're definitely going to be taking more of a look at this as we go into creating custom pages and sections. And then when we start using blocks, you're gonna really see how everything comes together. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video.